Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for this brief Unit 4 preview. This week, we are going to extend our use of sources that we began a couple weeks ago, and we're going to find two sources, and we're going to work on expressing the pro and the con of a specific issue. And we're going to do that in a couple different ways, a couple different activities. The first being our Unit 4 discussion board, which we'll talk about in a second. And the second being a 2-paragraph submission for the pros and cons of a specific issue. Now, you'll choose from one of 3 issues, and I'll talk about that in a second, which you're going to choose from. But it's important to note that whatever you select should be something that you are interested and engaged with thoroughly, because this is the same topic that you're going to write your argumentative essay on in a couple weeks. You're going to build that argumentative essay over the next several weeks, this being sort of the beginning point of that. So here's kind of a little bit about what we're going to be doing. The first thing, and I cannot stress this enough, you need to be reading the reading and resources first. So if you click on that, you'll see there are a couple pages here in the Oregon Rights book. And I don't know if you're having trouble finding this. When it says pages 101 and 103, so when we click on it, it doesn't mean pages 103 up here. So if we, for instance, we put 103, see, it only lists it to page 93. So you have to scroll down to page 101 to do the reading. And that begins over here on strategies for gathering reliable information. And this section basically delineates what the difference is between a primary source and a secondary source. So a primary source being a historical document, a research article, so a scientist or a literary scholar, someone put together a specific research on a topic, right? Those are primary sources. Autobiographies are also that. Secondary sources are things like magazine articles, biographies, lit reviews, scientific reviews. In other words, articles about the research or about the person rather than from the researcher or from the individual who the article or the issue is about. Hopefully that makes sense. Primary is firsthand accounts from the people doing the work. Secondary sources are kind of write-ups about the work. Okay, and so that's kind of what this section is, but so it starts on 101, which is this page. You see down through there. You'll read 101 through 103 there. You'll read pages 111 and 112, which have to do with how to access or how to find reliable internet sources. I very much encourage you to only use our library database. And this video here, please come in and watch this video. Just like this, how to submit an assignment in Blackboard from Unit 1, these are very intuitive. They are the clearest instructions that you can get on how to do a thing. They show it to you, literally. So please come and watch this video on how to access and use the library database to find your sources. All right, as you scroll down through here, so one thing, and you've kind of had to do this a little bit and it hasn't really been scored in terms of taking any points off for your APA formatting. But one of the things you're going to have to do as you start compiling sources, you have to create a references page. And so a references page goes at the very end of your document, as noted in your APA template, and it lists all the sources or the places you borrowed information from. And there's an activity down here that I'd like you to complete. It's not for a grade. I'm not going to see it. It's just for your own practice. You're going to practice creating a references page, and it walks you through how to do that. I really think if you do that, you'll have better success in the formatting scores on your paragraphs for this week. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. You want to make sure you click in those reading and resources. You want to make sure you go through and read all those things before you do anything, right? And as usual, our deadline for our initial post for the discussion board is Wednesday night. So you need to get started on that quickly. That way you have enough time to do the work, to read the things, and be prepared to comment on your discussion board. So the 2 graded assignments for this week, the first is our Unit 4 discussion, expressing the pro and con of an issue. So you're going to essentially evaluate the pros and cons of using any product you want. It can be literally anything. In fact, this list of things changes every term of suggestions. For some reason, students get in their head that they have to choose one of these things. You absolutely do not. You can literally choose whatever you want, something that fits your life. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write 2 full paragraphs. One outlining the pros of using a specific product, right? And then the cons of using that same product, right? It can be something that you're familiar with, something that you're using, right? So the suggestions here, a specific water bottle or a self-driving car or jelly beans or video games or ebooks, those are very generic suggestions, and you by no means have to choose one of those. It can be literally anything, right? I'm in the market for a new car right now, for instance, and so I might do sort of the pros and cons of a specific brand of car, right? And that would be what I would write mine about. So that's the initial post. It's due by Wednesday night, 11:59 p.m. You want to make sure you have 2 full paragraphs again in your initial post. Come back then to respond to 2 of your peers. And basically there, you're going to kind of comment on sort of, if any of those cons and pros that they listed maybe persuaded you in one direction or the other about their product. Maybe they wrote about a similar product. I can't stress enough though, I don't, I mean, that's fine, I guess. These are suggestions. I guess I don't want 14 posts about jelly beans, right? Use some creativity, pick something that is actually meaningful to you. I'll probably get emails saying, but jelly beans are meaningful to me. That's fine. If they're meaningful to you and you really have a specific type of jelly beans, the correct answer is the Sour Patch Kids jelly beans, by the way. There's no arguing for me. There's no debate. They're fantastic. Anyway, moving on. The main work of this week and what you will be submitting by Sunday night is the pro-con argumentative essay sort of paragraphs here. You're going to write 2 paragraphs in this case as well. And again, importantly, you must select from one of these issues. So free speech regulated on social media, mandatory American health insurance, or the American National Service requirement. Now, ideally, you would pick the same one that you used in Unit 2 to write your paragraph about, okay? Whatever it is that you want to do, you can change it if you want, but it's easier if you continue to use the same one throughout, right? Whichever one you choose here, just keep in mind that this will be what you write your argumentative essay about in a couple weeks. So make sure you have enough interest in it to maintain that. Now, you need to find 2 sources here, one in favor of the issue and one against the issue. And again, that's why it's very important that you do the reading and resources first so that you know where to find sources, etc. I also highly recommend that you come in and click on this, this complete instructions and grading rubric. If you look in here, I don't know that many of you are doing this each time. If you come here, it gives literal step-by-step instructions on what to do, right? And how to do that. I also must stress, and this doesn't apply to many of you, but some of you are still just kind of typing in your entry into the text box for submission. And that's not going to cut it. You can't properly format an APA style and you're always going to get the points taken off. You need to use Microsoft Word or a PDF to submit your assignments, okay? And again, in Unit 1's Reading and Resources, there is a PDF file that outlines exactly how to submit your work in Blackboard if you're having trouble with that. So keep that in mind. So just some requirements here. So each paragraph should be about 7 to 9 sentences. You want to use an academic and reliable source, 2 sources, one pro and one con for the issue. You want to use objective third person. So that means not using the pronoun I. I know in a lot of cases that that's difficult because you are the person writing it, but it is not really, you're trying to cultivate an objective voice that anyone can kind of understand. So those are the main requirements here. You can link off the library database here. You can click on it and get there. I really recommend you watching that video before you get into it. That way you understand how to find reputable sources as well. All right, well, I think that's it for this week. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to email me. This is kind of a ramping up from previous weeks. It's much more involved. There's a lot of work to be done, including the readings, including essentially you're going to be writing 4 paragraphs this week, 2 in the discussion board, and then your peer applies, of course, and then 2 for the Unit 4 assignment. So please budget your time well. I know that the Wednesdays sneak up on me sometimes, and so they certainly can sneak up on you as well. So that's it for this week. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to email me, and we'll talk again soon.